think it's on purpose?
Probably.
Well, there's like a theory out there that like recorded music used to be recorded in what, A440 or something, and now they changed it, like the hertz, they raised it, and now like they did the ice experiment, you know, where they flash freeze water, and at A440 it's like this pretty like snowflake looking thing, and at whatever frequency it is now, I don't know what it is, it's all fucked off.
I think it's all Big Comedy that did that.
It's all big what?
Big Comedy.
Yeah?
Yeah, they're trying to take over the healing process.
Them motherfuckers.
Comedy's the best medicine. They're
Fucking
they
laughter,
were tired
dude.
of competing with music.
Yeah, you can't have manslaughter without laughter.
You really can't, dude. You really can't.
Fuck.
Okay.
You're right.
I do have just one question for you.
Okay.
Just one.
Are we talking to the mics now?
Yeah,
Should
it's a repetitive question. We ask everybody. We found out the answer is not infinite. Because I used to say infinite because I thought there were only 67. I didn't realize how big the population was. But if given an ideal situation,
I
we're
have
like,
no idea where this is going.
it's okay. It's like a no hold barred thing. There's no weapons. It's all just fist on fist.
It's like back alley type situation.
Yeah. How many little people can you take in a fight by yourself at once?
So no weapons?
No weapons.
I mean,
Your muscles don't count as weapons because they're on you.
Maybe like some like miscellaneous trash items that you find
in my
in
pockets,
like this back alleyway, right? Like,
or yeah, if it was in this room,
like
anything is fair
anything
game.
could be a weapon in here.
Yeah.
There's so many, like that skull.
But they're gonna try to pick it up too. Is the problem?
Okay,
they can't reach.
Oh yeah, they can't get up there.
So you can use weapons.
I mean, I would probably pick the small ones up and throw them at the other ones.
Yeah.
Is that a weapon?
So how many could I be in a fight? Maybe like
There's hundreds of thousands of them. Maybe even millions, dude. Can you believe that? I couldn't believe it.
Was this to? Is this supposed to change my answer? I feel like.
Well, I used to say infinite, and then they had to Google how many there were, and once I found out there were that many, I was like, oh yeah, I can't.
Because he thought there was like 67.
Yeah.
Have you ever been to a midget wrestling show?
Yes.
There's definitely more than 67. I feel like I could take like 6 midgets. I feel like that's
a
like
fair number.
not the best answer, but
6 of them?
That's a
Yeah.
fair number.
I
Yeah.
feel like you're trying to under-promise and over-deliver.
yeah,
here.
for sure. I usually
definitely
that's my
trying to-
standard.
You're definitely trying to under-promise and over-deliver.
Because like, what if you guys have like a bunch of midgets in the back?
And they'll just come out, dude. Okay, so we did find out about this rent a midget place where you can get a bunch of them to come and do stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, that would be a great idea, dude.
So-
Hide a bunch of them in here behind the counter.
How many episodes have you guys done? 68.
68.
I'm past fingers and toes.
So for your like 150th episode or your 100th episode, you
That should
should
be
do
it.
that.
See if Waylon can beat up 150 midgets.
That's not what I was going to say, but yes, maybe for the 100th episode, the 67th episode.
Would they all have to sign waivers?
Probably. I think everyone probably have to sign a waiver. Just
I mean, they might. You don't know. Maybe you might be the motherfucker that needs to sign the waiver.
I might need to, dude, because I'm gonna get mauled. I'm gonna get absolutely obliterated.
you ask the question, and then whoever the guest is answers it, and then you have a surplus. You have more than how many you think that they're going to say.
Yeah.
And
I feel
then
like it's one of those situations.
you have a
just-
wrestling ring.
Yeah, you just can't let them get a hold of you.
That's what I keep saying. If they
get-
crowd around
if-
you, just
if-
jump over.
If they get attached to you, you're fucking.
Yeah,
done.
it's like toddlers on your
Done.
ankles.
I feel
You're
like
fucked.
they would like
You're done.
tabletop you, you know?
Yeah,
like,
they would have to.
team up and like
It'd be like
bend-
that Jack Black movie.
push you
They-
over.
They
and
might
then
leapfrog and do
once
some
you're on the
parkour.
ground. Yeah, once you're on the ground. Because I feel like maybe
Maybe 2 of them throw one of them at me.
Yeah. It might just be like a situation where like one's charging at you last minute. They get it hands and knees. Somebody's right behind him. They can't see him. They jump off the back, drop kick you in the face.
yeah. You should
Maybe.
train the ones that you bring. You should like train them for a month.
Like
3
on how to
months.
beat him up.
Yeah. Not you, the guest.
Oh,
For your 150th
no, he's the one
episode.
that's
That could
gonna
be.
Oh.
fight him.
Okay.
Maybe. Unless the guest is the perfect person for it.
Yeah, I feel like you have time to think about this, like who you would have for this special episode. But
Yeah.
that's what I would do.
George.
Stevie.
George would just let them beat him up.
He's like into
George
it.
is
He's into
George
it.
is out of commission at this point.
Yeah, I saw that.
Who's George?
Our friend George, he's got all the muscles as well, and he went to Coachella, and then he was hardcore dancing in his 30s, and
Which
completely
I didn't-
blew his knee
he
apart.
didn't stretch.
I didn't know Coachella had hardcore.
I didn't either.
I was shocked. To
Well, yeah,
find
he-
out
So
they
he
had
injured
hardcore.
himself
He goes to-
dancing?
He goes to all the violent shows, and he's out there all the time doing this. But
Inflicting
he's
violence.
just getting older, and yeah, he just
Yeah.
exploded his knee.
Oh my God. Did
Yeah.
he need surgery?
I have no clue.
He's
Wow.
got.
He's in California on crutches, enjoying the rest of the show at the moment.
God.
Yeah, he's got an enormous thing.
But yeah, his
Wow.
midget count definitely went down to about 3 at the moment.
Yeah, your knees.
Yeah.
Well, it
Pretty
depends. If he can get a good spin going on.
Can you use the crutches?
That's a crutch is a big weapon.
Yeah, he's a large man. He's a very large man.
Okay.
But in
Where did the
that brace gives them a lot to hold on to.
Yeah, he's got to be
If they
all
get
at
a hold of that
260.
leg.
Oh, so it's a benefit and it's
Yeah.
a curse and a blessing.
Yeah, if
Where
they
did
get a
the
hold of that leg, he's done.
Where did the
Yeah.
midget question come from? Where did it originate?
I think just it fell out of our mouths one day, and
It
we
stuck.
enjoyed it.
This thing's-
So it's a repetitive one. Yes.
I like it.
And also they have midget wrestling like over here, Kima area.
Yeah.
Constantly. I've tried to reach out to them to instigate a fight, and I haven't received word back. But eventually, one of these is going to get to them, and they might just show up and fight us. That might be a thing.
Did
so
your dream come true?
I mean, it could be. It could also be my nightmare.
I've been messaging them trying to instigate a fight.
Yes. But I
Have
don't
you ever
know.
been
Maybe
to one
it'll happen.
of the midget wrestling shows?
Mm-hmm. They're super fun for like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Have you been?
No. I did when I was wrestling with WWE. There was one midget, or I don't know what the proper term is. Hornswoggle. Do you guys watch WWE?
Oh yeah.
Hornswoggle?
So Hornswoggle
Yep.
was his character name.
Yeah, they dressed
It was-
him up like a leprechaun. All the
Yeah,
time.
it was pretty messed up, and his character was nonverbal, so it was like incredibly frustrating for him as a performer. I think.
He was like height and speech challenge?
Yeah, but
Wait,
he was
did I
actually
make
he's
it-
actually
wasn't
his
speech challenge.
his
They
name's
just-
Dylan, and
yeah,
he's
they
super
just-
smart and funny.
Yeah, they just wouldn't let him talk.
Yeah.
They were like, no, just dress up like a leprechaun.
But wait, but was
hop out of
he
a pot of gold
so
and get the
frustrating.
shit kicked out of you on a weekly basis.
So
Was he
frustrating.
able to talk though?
yeah.
Yeah.
Like on a mic in front of people? Or was it a
They
thing
would
where he
No,
let
clammed
his
up?
gimmick, like his character, was
Hmm.
that he was like he would make sounds.
I like it.
I mean, but if you think about it as a performer or entertainer,
I mean, he's still going to therapy, for sure. Yeah,
sure.
for sure.
I actually saw him
He's
at.
like, my whole life would have been different if they just gave me a line.
yeah,
know,
yeah.
yeah,
I
definitely.
think there was like so with WWE, when you're not like, well, even if you are in the storylines and you're like popular and you're on like a series of like a storyline, you write ideas, you pitch ideas, and you give them to the writers. There's like a team of writers, and usually there's like one specific writer for the women or like the kind of like middle card guys, like not top guys.
So it's just like Saturday Night Live.
Yeah, so you're trying to get on the show, so you constantly, if you're smart, you're trying to pitch storylines, and so I think that for a while, and this happened all the time, like the day of, it happened a lot, but like storylines would just change. Like there's always like at TV, there's always like a big production meeting, and they're in there for hours and hours, and it'll be like the first draft of the show, and everybody knows like that's not going to be the show because it'll change over and over and over again until sometimes all the way up till doors, like right before the doors
Right.
open. And just you just never know. So they would always bring everybody to TV, even if you weren't like a main storyline person, because you never know if they would like need you last minute for a match or like a backstage thing. But I think for a while there was this. I think he probably pitched it. I mean, I'm sure he did, where he was going to have like a big shift and he was going to all of a sudden be able to talk. And I actually feel terrible because I don't know the answer to this, but I don't know if it actually ever happened. He's not wrestling with them anymore.
Yeah, well, I guess it didn't. Because the fans would just never go for, like, all of a sudden he's just beating everybody up and winning, right?
I don't know if he was all of a sudden going to be like, like a top wrestler, but I think he was
He was
supposed to
gonna be like
have
a manager or something.
a personality. He would wrestle sometimes, but it was more like a valet or like backstage stuff, or like he would come out with somebody or whatever.
One of my favorites was Santino.
Santino.
It was so ridiculous.
Santino's fucking awesome.
It was so ridiculous, but it was awesome.
Yeah,
The
the
Cobra
snake.
thing, the little fucking socks.
This is all going to be foreign to me, dude. I
The
need more
snake
words.
sock.
Yeah, you got to look up Santino. He has a really cool battle arts school in Canada with all kind of like combat.
A battle, like a Ren Fair type of thing?
No, like I can't think of I forgot the name of it. Actually, I'll look it up. But it's like just different combat sports. It's like a big school.
Like jujitsu?
Yeah. I'm actually gonna Google it.
Yeah,
right
my
now.
head went straight to swords. I don't know why.
Of course it did.
Because battle arts.
swords and
I was like,
ninjas.
oh wait, battle?
Let me see. Santino.
Yeah, straight to the knife fights, dude.
Let's see.
I kind of want to see that personally. Oh, this couch is already killing me with 3 minutes in. Which one? I saw that.
Oh yes.
I'm gonna be the coach.
Okay, so Santino. So his real name's Anthony, and so I'm pretty sure it's his school, but it's called Battle Arts Academy. So it's like martial arts and pro wrestling.
Nice.
Yeah, sometimes we keep.
Canada.
Yeah. I've seen him a couple times throughout the years, but he's super cool, very, very talented. But yeah, his gimmick was very funny.
Are you Canada?
Very ridiculous. What?
Where are you from?
Houston.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Threw me off for a second.
Are you Canada?
Yeah.
I knew what he meant.
Are you Canada?
Hey,
Who are
wait,
you?
am I the
fucking Borat?
in my
He's like
defense-
regressing into being nonverbal now.
Are you Canada? Why use many words when few words
You're trying
are
to
trick?
save time and effort by skipping words.
Today's episode's brought to you by our sponsor, BetterHelp. Why drowned in many thought when one talk help? Makes no sense, right? We all get overwhelmed. There's a lot of stress in your life. You got things going on. Can't fire over here, can't fire over there. The mental capacity is just, it could be exhausting, right? You could check out our friends at BetterHelp. I use it. I've been enjoying it. It's kind of nice. I got matched up with a therapist by the name of Sergio. And he's there. He just takes in all the things in my head, helps me sort it out, gives me tools to process thoughts and organize my time better. I've been enjoying it. I would recommend it. Especially if you're just feeling like your to-do list never ends. You've got a lot on your plate. You're trying to sleep at night. And then you hear the dun 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 dun. The carnival starts, you know what I'm talking about? I have that same issue. The carnival, the to-do list, you start thinking about everything you got tomorrow, all the things you should have done today, but you were busy doing this other thing, not realizing that the breaks are important too. Give it a shot. We got a 10% discount with the link below on your first month. All you gotta do is click it, sign up, give it a shot. If you don't like it, you just cancel it. No big deal. Maybe it works for you. Maybe it helps you get through your day. The link is betterhelp.com/Fat Dragon Tattoo. BetterHelp, HELP/Fat Dragon Tattoo. And I'm pretty sure I'm saying that wrong. It's betterhelp.com/Fat Dragon Tattoo. But you don't have to type it. Just go below this video. There's a link. Just push that button. Do yourself a favor. Sort out your brains.
No. In my defense, I've been going real hard on that Duolingo with Chinese. They take a bunch of words.
Are you
out.
trying to learn Chinese?
Yes.
That's cool. How is it? Difficult?
Yeah.
Ask her how to say it.
How to say what? How do you say water in Chinese?
I don't know.
Water. My 5-year-old taught me that.
You're obviously doing really
Yeah.
well. Yeah.
My 5-year-old taught me that.
Have you guys seen the what is it called? Is it The Office or what is it called? The show
We've
with
seen The Office a couple times.
so Kevin, the character, there's an episode where he is trying to.
Yeah,
is
that's
that where
what I
you're
was
gonna?
quoting.
Yeah, where he's like
Why
saying.
use many words when few words make
Okay,
you
yeah,
trick?
exactly.
I travel, see world. Are you saying you're going to see the world, or are you going to see world? See world.
That character is so good.
Oceans, fish.
So
Kevin,
good.
this isn't helping.
I just like the Roxanne one
What?
Roxanne.
where he's playing the drums and he's all,
Roxanne.
It's so good.
Kevin?
Yeah.
I haven't
What
seen
is
that one.
his Grantnicity?
I have not seen
Yeah, he's
that
in a
one.
band and he sings pretty good and plays the drums.
Oh man,
It's kind of tight.
tight. I haven't
You
heard
wouldn't
that in a
expect
while.
it from that character. Wouldn't expect it at all.
I've watched all those episodes like at least 5 times.
It's just one of
Every
those
one
shows you just
Yeah.
run. That's how I
Well,
am
like,
with Seinfeld.
good
I'll just
background.
continuously
Yeah,
run through
I
the
turn it
season.
on, I'll be like working.
Yes,
I'll turn it on,
yeah.
It's just playing.
That's what I do with Seinfeld.
Mine was Trailer Park Boys for the longest time for that.
TPP.
Yeah.
TPP. I never watched
Yeah.
that.
It's pretty ridiculous.
Honestly, I watched a few episodes. The only one that stuck with me though was the kitty whorehouse. Where they turned all the bubbles and storage sheds or whatever into whorehouses and gave kitties all like syphilis or something. And he was all mad. My kitties.
I just like that show because I'll be listening to it in the background, but that character Bubbles, like throughout the entirety of the series, he'll be offset somewhere and just yelling cuss words real loud, like off in the distance, and you can hear him coming through the audio. So it'll be a scene and you just hear somebody being like, cocksucker, like way off in the distance. That's why I love that show.
So
just
good.
random cursings from the back.
So good.
We could make that happen here.
We do.
We got a Stevie.
All the time.
She'd just be upstairs, just stub her toe.
Yeah. 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 So you were in the WWE.
Yes. Yeah.
When was it? What
Wait,
year?
how?
Yeah. How?
Yeah, how?
How does this happen?
So I was there from 2010 through 2014.
Okay.
And so I was doing competitive bodybuilding. Did my first show when I was 19 and then competed for a couple of years. And one of my best friends and myself met somebody through the fitness industry who had a developmental contract with WWE and had never made it to the main roster. I think he had gotten released or he quit or whatever, but he was either trying to get a job as a talent scout or he just still had the connections or was trying to like bang one of us or something. And he was like, if you guys want to try out for WWE, I can get you guys a tryout. So we were like, yeah. And we wrote little bios and sent pictures in, and they brought us out to do a tryout for a week.
So you didn't have any kind of like
Zero wrestling experience. Yeah, but at that time,
I mean, it's a weird thing to have experience doing anyway.
Exactly, exactly.
Like, yeah.
That
But
kind of.
but
yeah.
at that, so it's interesting. Like wrestling, professional wrestling. A lot of people that end up being a performer have loved it their entire life. They're like, I've always wanted to be a wrestler, and they have, but so during that time that I was there, it was a very transitional time for women, and so we were still called divas, and so they were still hiring women with zero experience. So now, like, the developmental program was called Florida Championship Wrestling, and it was this like super tiny rinky-dink building in Tampa, Florida.
But that's where like everybody came.
Yeah, but now it's this huge, amazing training facility in Orlando. What you would think it would be for this massive company. And so they flew me and my friend Jody out, and essentially, she didn't have any experience either. We just had the look, and they take you through a week of a week in the life of a developmental talent. And so most times, unless you're like a big star from another country or you're really well known in the indie world of wrestling, you have to go through the developmental program. It's where you learn how to wrestle, you develop a character, learn how to speak on the mic, learn the ins and outs of the wrestling culture.
Training camp.
Yeah, and so and they would run local shows too all around Florida, and they had a local television show too. And so day one, they taught us how to take a bump, right? Like how to take a fall and how to do it safely, and they make you do it like 100 times, right? So they really want to know if you want to do it,
right?
Yeah.
And so like no matter what, no matter how developed your body is or your muscles are, you feel like you got in a car accident the next day. And so my friend was like, fuck this. I don't like this. This is not for me. And she had just,
So she rang the bell.
she left like the
immediately.
first day. Yeah. And
She's
I
like, nah.
respected it because she was just like, no, and I have
Was there a bell? Was it like the SEALs where you had to crawl over and ring the bell and be like, I quit?
No, it wasn't.
Like,
No,
put the helmet
it
down
wasn't
and
like
go.
a reality show type. Like it was just like, she was also competing in professional bodybuilding, and she had just got her pro card or something, and she had just come off a show, so her body was like super ripped, and like I don't know if you guys see people that get on stage for bodybuilding.
Yeah, she needed some carbs.
So, and it just wasn't her cup of tea, and I came to realize very quickly that it's like for a very specific kind of person, like pro wrestling.
Yeah.
And I fucking loved it. I felt like I
Did
was
you love
one.
like the crowd or like the physical, like the punishment? On
I
yourself
liked
every
all of
day?
it because there's so much artistry in it. Like it's not just so it's it's performative, it's athletic, it's storytelling, and it's there's so many things intertwined. And I didn't know any of this, but it's you have to know how to protect your body, protect the person that you're in the ring with, their body, tell a story, sell with facial expressions, know where the cameras are, play to the crowd, communicate with the person you're wrestling with. It's so much. And
I'm kind of surprised it made it through COVID because that was super weird.
right, like
Because like there was no crowd noise and like you could
Yeah.
hear absolutely everything. It was super weird, and I'm surprised it made it through there.
I
'Cause
know.
was like,
But that's the thing about wrestling is like the wrestling fans are so loyal.
Yeah.
Like, and it's because
They
the
would've waited,
stories,
dude.
like you get so emotionally
Yeah.
connected to the characters. And so yeah, I loved it. I was there for a week. I think on Wednesdays it was like the character development day where you would get in the ring, cut a promo, and so there was like 3 or 4 people there at the same time as me trying out, and so we all had to cut a promo, and it was like so nerve-wracking. We knew that we were gonna have to do it, and so they let us know a couple days in advance, hey, you're gonna have to cut a 1-minute promo in the ring. And it's like it's you're standing in the middle of the ring, all your peers, there's probably 50 or 60 developmental people there, and
you
then
immediately fuck it up.
all the coaches, and then they also
Just like
had
Saturday Night Live, dude.
and then they also had some people from headquarters there too, like some really important executives there too. So it was very like nerve-wracking. And there was like 2 or 3 girls that were there, and they were like, it was very like and so I wanted to do something different, and so I did this like stupid skit, and I asked one of the guys that was there to do it with me, and it ended up being really funny, and nobody fucking laughed except the executives, because I think everyone was like, what was that, like, is she allowed to do that? So Johnny Laurinaitis was one of the executives there, and there was like silent when I was done, and then he started laughing, and then everybody started laughing, and I was like, oh God. And then I ended up getting signed. Maybe like three weeks after that, I got a call, and they offered me a contract. And up until that time, I was born and raised in Houston. I had never lived out of state, and so I picked up, left, and moved to Tampa when I was 23. And I just started. It was like a whole new life, a full reset. And I was bartending at the time, going to school, doing fitness competitions, and it was just like a full life change. And then when I was there training, there was maybe only like 6 or 8 other girls there. Now the developmental program is very robust. There's probably, I would say probably 100 developmental athletes now, but then it was very, very small. So WWE has like an umbrella of shows. So there's Raw, SmackDown, the main ones, and then a show called Main Event, and then they also had a new one called NXT. Mm-hmm. And they had done 2 seasons of NXT, and it was this reality-based elimination show where they would pull up 6 rookies from developmental, and they would get assigned a pro, so somebody that was on the main roster as their mentor. And so there was pretty much everybody there except for me and this other new girl was set to go up on the show. And so WWE has different TV deals with like different networks, and so it was supposed to be live on Sci-Fi Network, I think, for like the first 6 episodes, and then it was just going to go to the internet. And so there was these 6 girls or 5 girls, and then they hired, and this is her, not a build height for the TV or internet, like her true height, 6'8". The 6'8" woman, her name was Lindsay Hayward. I think that was her last name, but her wrestling name was Aloisa. This woman, like, and she was the full gimmick, right? Like, she had huge implants, and like she wore huge heels, and when you would hug her, her tits would just sit on your head. Like, that's how tall she was. It was like the strangest thing. And so at that time, it was like, yes, it was super, very transitional time. They were trying to go away from like that hardcore era of like blood and all that, and they were trying to clean it up, make it more PG, more family friendly. And so like literally 4 days before the show went live, they had found that she had done some like fetish stuff online, and it didn't go with the brand, so they released her. And I got the call, like I was the next one in line essentially, and literally had never wrestled. I had done like a practice match where, you know, like the most horrible match ever. I didn't have any wrestling gear. I didn't have a character yet. You know, I had only been there, I don't know, a number of weeks. And so the show, so you have previously you had Monday Night Raw, always live, and then SmackDown used to not be live, and it was filmed on Tuesdays. And so NXT,
Really?
yeah, it used to be filmed. So we would do loops. We'd do live events, and then sometimes if there was a pay-per-view on Sunday, we'd do this pay-per-view, and then we would do Monday Night Raw, and then film SmackDown.
Now it's live, right?
Yeah, now SmackDown's live, so I think the loop starts on Fridays. And so SmackDown was going to air before, or NXT was going to air before SmackDown. And I literally wrestled the first time on live TV with no experience. But it was really cool. So when I got the call, I cried because I was just like, this is definitely what I signed up for. This is like the coolest opportunity ever. But I was like, fuck, I have no idea what I'm going to do. I'm going to embarrass myself on TV. Like,
Did you?
And now with a special presentation from Stevie.
It's not touchscreen.
hello. What y'all doing?
Oh, your mic's on.
Hello. You've known me as Stevie Janowski, but this week you get to know me as Stevie Irwin. Contemporary Winslow. Last week we did monitoring facts, but this week I'm here with some more facts, but about narwhals. Often called the unicorn of the sea. They have a horn that's basically like a tooth. It can grow up to 8 feet long, and that's right. The horn does correlate with fertility. That's it for this week. For sure. Oh, for sure. There's some like really embarrassing stuff on YouTube, but you know, I was like, there's no fucking way that I'm gonna like let this opportunity pass me by. Like it was just like the coolest opportunity.
Yeah, shoot the shot.
Yeah.
Shoot the shot
And
every
so,
time.
and I didn't have any money either. So like the developmental contracts were very like not that, they didn't pay that well. And I was bartending before, so I didn't have anything to wear on TV, and I told them that, and so they had me go to the school. This is the day that I got the call that I was going to be on the show.
Dig through the lost and found.
Well, no, they gave me petty cash out of the safe, $1,000, and told me to go to the mall and buy Diva stuff. And I'm not to be trusted buying Diva stuff because the stuff I bought they didn't let me wear. I debuted wearing someone else's dress.
You go straight to Hot Topic.
Everything I bought was like army green and black mesh, and it was just like, it wasn't girly, and it didn't fit the vibe of the show. So yeah, it was just crazy. And to me, like my release, the coolest part of it is that they paired me. My pro on the show was Vicky Guerrero. And if you're a wrestling fan, you know that yes. Yeah. So Vicky was married to Eddie Guerrero, which is one of the most famous, loved wrestlers of all time.
Yep,
and
he died in Minneapolis.
Yeah, he died. And Vicky became this monster heel, and a heel's a bad guy in wrestling. And so she had like, in wrestling lingo, it's called heat. If you're a heel, you want heat. You want people to hate you. You want people to boo you. You want a reaction from the crowd. And she was this monster heel. And so,
because she was horribly annoying.
So annoying. Like on the microphone.
She was the worst.
Yo, she would like
Did she have
bring
like a
the
Fran
microphone
Dresser
up
voice
to
or
her
what?
mouth.
She had like a Fran Dresser voice?
Yes. Only worse.
Only worse. Imagine that. But she was just she was so good.
Yeah.
She was so good at it.
She played the role the right way.
Yes.
Like, and anytime you heard her voice, you're like, oh, Jesus, this bitch.
Yeah, exactly. Which is what you want.
The TV. You're like, boo, get her off the TV.
So I got really lucky because of that, because I was this like, babyface underdog, no experience, true rookie. And they paired me with her. And on the show, it was scripted. So there was storylines. but some of it was not like some of it they would just surprise us on TV and be like, you have to do a contest. Like they would surprise us with like dance contests and just like really embarrassing shit.
Well,
and
speaking of,
hit it, all the midgets come out. But because she had so much heat and everyone hated her as a character, and she like bullied me on the show. Everybody loved me. You know, it was just they felt bad for me. And as a baby face, like you want people to resonate with you. You know, you want them to feel for you. You want them to, like, they want to see you win, and that's what you want. You know, as a performer, as a good guy, baby face. And so, and I just kind of like threw all the fucks out of the window and was just like, I have nothing to lose, you know, besides dignity and like, I did.
what is that?
Yeah. But there was
really
like
don't
a lot of
know.
moments where, cause I didn't watch wrestling as a kid. Like I watched some of it, you know, I liked.
That might have been a good thing though.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Like
Because you didn't go in like trying to play a certain thing, like
Yeah.
trying to control where it was headed.
Yeah.
That was something though, like there's all these unwritten rules, just like with any industry, you know, like just so many things I didn't know and I didn't understand and I had to learn really fast. And
We've thrown all of those out here with tattooing.
what do you mean?
So there's the same thing. There's all these rules everybody likes to try to play by.
That's cool.
Like unwritten bullshit,
Yeah.
old rhetoric that makes no sense.
That's dope.
I'm like, wait, question all those things. None of them make sense.
Hell
We're not
yeah.
playing by any of those rules.
Well, and the same thing applies to pro wrestling because now all those rules that were being adhered to are kind of been broken.
Yeah, it's
And
evolved.
it's probably bigger than ever. And
Yeah.
like they thought they were protecting the business back then, and really it's probably
They're
big.
not.
Like it's probably bigger than ever right now, and which
Yeah.
is kind of surprising to me because like all the secrets are like revealed. Like
Yeah.
they have all the A&E biography shows. They have all the Dark Side of the Ring stuff.
like
all
the
these shows.
real stories. Yeah.
All these shows that are out there that like peel back the curtain and like, hey, this is what was really going on. This is all this shit, and like it's just made it bigger.
Well, I think social media has played such a huge part in that, like the rise of Instagram and all that.
Yeah.
But
I think part of it kind of makes them like real people too.
Yes.
There's like a weird separation. Like
It's just
some of
easier to
these
be
fans-
relatable.
Yeah, some of these fans
Yes.
hate the person that's on the TV, but like they love the person that's on Instagram.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're two different people.
I
And
think
they
it
can be
makes them
touched.
respect it more. I think,
Yeah.
yeah. But I think, you know, the whole deal in the 80s where wrestling was exposed as fake.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and everybody's like,
Yeah, right. So Hulk Hogan choked out, who was it, Gerardo? Isn't that who it
I mean,
was?
there
No,
were
there was a dude that bitch slapped the shit out of a fucking reporter. Another dude went to jail in like fucking Iran or something. Fuck it. There was all kinds of crazy shit that went down back in the day.
Yeah, I think it was
Yeah.
Geraldo that got like choked
I
unconscious.
know what you're
by Hulk
talking about.
Hogan,
Yeah,
dude.
yeah. On
flat on his face,
show.
dude.
Yeah.
Was it Hulk?
I'm pretty sure it was Hulk, dude.
I know.
I think so.
Didn't Roddy Piper do some fucking crazy shit too back in
I
the
think a
day?
bunch of them did.
Yeah, a bunch of them fucking did.
I think it's just
Mr. T was fucking
Mr.
was involved.
T.
Cindy Lauper. Fucking such a weird.
Isn't
so
it?
fucking weird. Such a weird history. Like
Yep.
Yeah, wrestling's wild. But
then you had WCW thrown in the mix too, and that was a whole different fucking animal. Where like they had the NWO and that shit was wild.
yes.
Like
yeah.
that shit was nuts. They were
Which one was that one? The crotch?
They were
This shit-
no,
where
that
did
was
shit come
nope.
in?
That was like to compete with WCW
Yeah.
basically.
Huh.
But I got my kid doing the
Little
suck
chop.
it.
Yeah, you
Nice, dude.
did.
Got him
Yeah,
doing
you
the suck it.
did.
He's 2.
Yeah. Yes.
He also does the John Cena.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a really cool part. So I've been doing a lot of like wrestling appearances this year. Like, well, I've done 3 in the past. I don't do them a lot.
Was it? It was like a long hiatus.
It's just so when I left WWE in 2014, I signed a contract with an indie promoter to do like a series of like 6 appearances or something, and then I did them kind of like far and few. You know, I didn't do that many. But and it's because a lot of times like it's hard to find a good promoter that like pays you well and takes care of you and has a good reputation. And I just recently started
She
working.
said hard. She meant impossible.
Well,
It's
yeah.
impossible to
No, I
find
just
those
started working
people.
with a new promoter, and he's booked me for 3 shows recently, and it's been a great experience. So I don't normally do that many, but
Yeah, Booker T.
What?
Is it Booker T?
No.
Because he's got like a school.
He's got a
or
school
something,
reality
right?
wrestling,
Like,
I think. Yeah. I love Booker T. He's a cool dude. But what's funny is like I left 10 years ago, more than 10 years ago now, and a lot of times these people will come up and we'll have a conversation, you know, and like a lot of times like it's this age of like 20 through 25, so they were, you know, 13, 14, 15 or however old when they were watching during the time that I was on. And so it's always really cool to hear their stories and like, you know, see why my storylines resonated with them, or you know what they saw, you know, through their eyes at that age, and to, you know, then some of them have become wrestlers. So I did a Comic-Con in Pittsburgh, and there's a girl who her and her mom had come out, and she's I think 18 or 19 and had been training for a couple of years, and she came in her wrestling gear, and she has a wrestling Instagram page, and she any time that someone wants to come up and talk wrestling with me, it's always about my feud with AJ. Like, you know, it was like the biggest feud of my career. And AJ,
we're lost on the feud.
Yeah, that's okay. But it's always about that. And so she,
I'm trying to remember who AJ was.
She, little petite, long dark hair. She had the like crazy character.
Was she the one that was like teamed up with, or supposedly, or maybe really, was CM Punk?
Yeah, it was Daniel Bryan,
okay.
CM Punk. Yeah,
okay.
she did a lot of
Yeah,
amazing stuff. Yeah, she had an amazing career.
Yeah.
And she was really, really good on the mic and an amazing wrestler. And her and I were best friends. And she actually helped me a lot because she was on NXT. She was one of the girls that was on NXT with me. And she, her and I were very, very close. And she helped me a lot with like understanding, you know, these kind of unwritten rules, right? And like trying to get respect and
not step on toes and shit
right.
like that. Yeah.
And I had like a lot of heat or whatever because of the way that I was brought on to TV. Like I had, you know, here I am, wasn't a fan of wrestling growing up.
Like TV heat or locker room heat?
Locker room heat.
Okay.
Because all the people there had like, you know, most of them, like AJ, had watched it since they were a kid, wanted to be a wrestler their whole life. No, all the trivia, you know, all everything about every WrestleMania. And I didn't know any of that shit. I didn't know any of it. And so she helped me a lot with like understanding certain things. Anyway, so it's always that feud that impacted like this age group of people. So this girl had come up and her gear looks just like AJ's, and it's just cool to see like how, you know, how it unfolds.
Man, I thought you were totally about to go. She tried to fight me in public. She was a little off mentally. Yeah,
you need a combat sport to practice.
And the funny part of it, she was a midget, so I know I can take one.
It was just 1-300 right to the chest, dude. Came over. That's great.
And I yelled Sparta at the same time.
Oh, that's great.
Your bloodlust.
It's a crazy business to try to like get into or to be in. Like it's like a weird niche.
Yeah, it's not a regular job
market.
right there.
It's not at all a regular job. Super weird. Super like cutthroat. But like,
I feel like it's or like any combat sport, really. Very, very few people are ever going to be able to even make $1 doing it.
Yeah.
Most people are just doing it.
And to me, it's so weird the people that get like that get the push, right? Like, because some of them like they just, at least to me, like they appeal to different people, right? The characters are meant to appeal to different people, but to me, some of the characters are like, they're boring as hell.
Yeah.
Why are you pushing them? Like, what are you doing? But then people are buying their shirts all the time.
Yeah,
too.
they're looking at who's spending money, bro.
Yeah.
But
I wonder how much AI is like playing a role in that now, dude. I bet it's
AI
so
plays a role in
streamlined.
everything.
Probably, I don't know. Probably not a lot in that.
All that data consumption on who's buying what.
Oh,
where,
yeah.
why.
Yeah, with the merch.
Oh yeah, they
That
know
part
the
of it.
exact
Yeah,
line
that part
to
of
say
it.
at what minute of each match.
That's
part
true.
of it.
Yeah. But also, like, so much of it, like, I think, which is probably where you're coming from, a lot of it is so based on the crowd, you know, and there's certain cities that you wrestle in that are so different from, wrestling in Texas versus wrestling in the Northeast or Chicago, entirely different beast, like entirely different. a lot of times like the fans in Chicago or the tri-state area will boo the good guy. They're like not doing what you want. So yeah,
that's what the weird thing about like the Attitude Era was, and that was like the NWO time. Is like the NWO really made like the bad guy the heel. Like people liked the heel. And like Hulk Hogan talks about it all the time. Like he was supposed to be fucking hated, and he was when he like did the heel turn. But then, like, after a while, like, everybody was like, oh, fuck yeah, NWO. Like, they're doing whatever the fuck
this is
they
cool,
want.
yeah.
Like, it's pretty cool. But then he went to WWE because they bought WCW. And, like, him and The Rock, I think, were supposed to have a match. And Hogan was supposed to be the heel. Rock was supposed to be the babyface. And everybody loved Hogan. And he was like, oh, shit, this isn't going to fucking work.
Yeah, so
I gotta go back to the Hulkamania shit. Like, if they're gonna love me anyways,
it's already in the psyche, dude. You
it's in the psyche.
Yeah.
If they're gonna love me anyways, he's like, I gotta be the good guy. I gotta be the baby face. So
well, what's crazy is like there's a formula to put together a match, right? So like there's to tell the story, and so when you have a good guy and a bad guy, unless you have some weird storyline twist, you're going to tell the pattern in the ring, right? So it's like the all the parts to a match, and so you have this match, like you know the outcome of the match before you go out and perform it, and then yes, you can improvise and change things up. Sometimes you get cut for time, sometimes you have more time, but you're also heavily relying on the energy from the crowd, and so when it's a babyface and a heel, and all of a sudden the crowd is cheering for the bad guy, then you have to change the match, and you have to change it on the fly. And so that's like one of the other things that really makes it an art form, is that you have to know how to like change the story according to
and the referees are kind of like the directors a little bit, aren't they?
Yeah. So when you get your match, you have a producer or like an agent that helps you put it together and tell the story, the combat and what the actual fight or the match looks like, and then you have a referee. So once you have your match and the story, then you communicate it to the referee. And this is like a lot for TV, and of course you have the refs for non-televised stuff, but especially for TV, especially if it's live, you're typically going to cut for time. Like if your match is a little later on the card. So, and as the women, especially during that time, our shit always got cut. So we get like 6 minutes and then actually have like 3 or 2.5 on TV. So we would always have like plan A, plan B, and then plan C, which usually was plan C, because like our time would just get cut. Yeah. Or they would just like let us do our entrances, and then the bell would ring, and then we'd go home, and it was like 5 seconds of a match. But the referee has a mic in his ear, and so he has events in his ear. He has your agent. Your agent knows the whole match. They know the story, and so they talk to you. So if Vince wants something different than what you have planned, or the story you're planning on telling, the ref has to tell that to you during the match and communicate to both of you.
Which is fucking nuts.
Yeah, that's bonkers.
And they can help you too. Sometimes like you just get triggered or like in your head and you forget shit, and like you can be like, oh, fuck, I forgot what the spot is, or like you're trying to set up for a big spot and you can't remember it, and the other wrestlers across the ring, you can like the ref can help you, or they can go tell the other person like, hey, they're lost, kick the midget.
Throw them like a bowling ball.
Yeah. So it's like usually when you get really lost, especially when you're new, you just get overwhelmed, and it's a lot of things to think about. The more experienced person, usually they won't put two inexperienced people together in the ring, because like they have to have someone leading it.
For a little while, when they were bringing in like a lot of the women wrestlers, like there was a big push for a little while. They were bringing a lot of them in, and there's a lot of them that were inexperienced.
Just
models.
You
could see it on TV. You'd watch it, and you'd be like, oh.
Yeah.
Rough. Like one of these women is gonna get fucking crippled.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
They're gonna get fucked up bad.
Yeah.
Like, and you could just see it the way they were falling. They were falling all wrong, and like it didn't look graceful.
Hard to watch.
The timing was off. It was all fucked up. And everybody's like, oh, the crowd. You could hear it in the crowd too. They're like, oh.
Yeah. There was the super defining moment in my career where it was a battle royal, and it was live on Raw, and it was like all the divas, both SmackDown and Raw, the roster was in the ring, and it was for a title shot. And so I was supposed to be in there second to last. I wasn't supposed to win. And the last spot with me and the woman that was supposed to win was so with the battle royal, typically with the guys, you have to throw you have to get thrown over the top rope. But for women, because that's a little bit more difficult physically, you can throw over the second rope and still get eliminated. So the spot was I was going to hit the ropes, clothesline her over. Her name was Eve. And she was going to flip over, hold on, and then pull me out. And we set up the spot and I clotheslined her and like the physics were off and she didn't flip over. And so we had to set up for the spot again. And I sure as fuck wasn't going to let that happen again. So I hit her so hard that she completely fell off and got eliminated on live TV. And the ref was, he was in developmental with me. We came up at the same time. So he's a wrestler. They had made him a ref through a storyline or something, I think. And he had never reffed live TV before. That was his first time to ref Raw. And so we're both like, duh. And because it's like all happening so fast. And so it's in my mind, I'm like, oh fuck, that's not the spot, shit. And so I'm not thinking like, oh, let me celebrate. Cause like, that's not how it was supposed to go. I was supposed to get eliminated and then walk back to backstage.
You're like, I don't even know how to celebrate.
I didn't. And it's very apparent.
Remember Full Metal Jacket? That's her in the locker room later that day.
Well, so the ref had the mic. He had the mic. And so they were yelling in his ear, celebrate, celebrate. And so he was kind of like, duh, too, because he was like, that's not the spot. And so he just, you can see it, like you can watch the match back and see it. Both of us were just like a deer in the headlights. And so he grabbed my arm and we celebrated. And it was like not supposed to happen. But that's one thing that they always told
did you
us.
get your title shot?
I did. Yeah, that's actually how I got the title. So what happened? So here's the thing. I'll tell the story really fast. I won NXT, right? So I won that reality based. I won that show, and when you win NXT, you're supposed to get a spot on the main roster. Mm-hmm. And so I won, and they put me on SmackDown, but I didn't get a big debut because I needed experience. Like I wasn't ready for a big push. And so I just kind of like fell beneath the cracks. Like it was just kind of like not doing much, just traveling and doing live shows and learning how to wrestle. And then that night for the Battle Royal, I wasn't supposed to be in there second to last. I was supposed to get eliminated really early on because I was really low in the totem pole. But one of our agents came back that night. He was gone for a year hiatus. And he looked at me and he's like, why aren't you on TV yet? Like, why aren't you doing stuff? And I was like, oh, fuck, I don't know. Like, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Like, and so he takes the script. And then y'all
fucked up the whole match. And he's like, that's why.
That's why.
No,
so he takes the match and he scribbles it out. And and at that time I had been writing a storyline with Eve, with the woman who was supposed to win the title shot. And she was a very well-known diva and just gorgeous and amazing.
She was on the reality show.
And Eve,
kind of what?
Eve. So this is Eve Torres. She was.
Oh, that one.
Yeah,
okay.
she
was
was.
thinking the other one.
Eva Marie. Yeah. So Eve Torres had been there for a long time and very, very smart, talented, charismatic person, and she helped me a lot in my career. But anyway, so I had been writing a storyline for weeks and weeks to try to be like, I wanted to be, the story was that I was going to be the assistant general manager. It was like Teddy Long or Booker T or something. And so Eve and I had these segments leading up to, it was supposed to be a match. And so I was getting a story on TV. And then so the day that we were supposed to have the match, and the way I had written it is that I was going to beat her and win, and she was a bad guy and I was a good guy. And whoever was the GM was a good guy, so it made sense for me to be like the assistant manager. And Vince that day decides that he wanted Eve to have it, and so he switched it, and I lost the match and she got the spot. And I was like so brokenhearted because I wrote that whole storyline, and it had been going for like 4 or 5 weeks and I was like, fuck, I'm fine, this is like my shit, I'm finally gonna get a main spot on the show, and have weekly episodic appearances and stuff on the show. And then that changed, and literally it was like a week or two after that where that agent came back, who was he helped me a lot when I first started, and that's why he was like, what are you doing? Why are you on TV? Fit Finley.
Yep.
And he was gone. He had like a year hiatus, and he came back, and he takes the match card and he scribbles it out, and he was like, you have a story with Eve right now. And he was like, okay, that makes sense. And so he put me in there second to last. He was like, you're gonna, and that was the biggest moment of my career up to that point. I had never been in a battle royal for more than a couple seconds. When you're new and you don't matter that much, like you get eliminated first. So that was the biggest moment of my career so far. And then when that happened, all the girls were super pissed, and they like wanted, or not all of them, some of them. I had friends and people that supported me and were like, congrats. But there was girls that wanted to just write me out of it and not have me be a part of it. But that botch on Raw was the reason that I got a title shot and eventually won the title in Houston.
That's kind of cool.
Tight.
Yeah.
What a crazy fucking job.
Yeah.
Hey, yeah, and all of that, you were in your 20s through all of that?
Yeah, I started when I was 23.
Okay, so I can only imagine how wild that life is, and probably chaotic and hectic and super, super fast. I bet those years like flew by.
Yeah.
What did it feel like when you stopped and you came back home?
Oof.
Was that like super depressing?
So,
Was it sad girl time, like to the max?
oh, for
kinda?
sure. But it already was.
Like all the
Sad girl
lights and the
time.
attention's like gone.
It already
overnight,
was
right?
before I left. And so my first contract was 3 years. And then I got
That's
it.
a pretty decent contract for
Yeah.
the first one, right?
Yeah.
3 years. Most of the time, aren't they like they'll be a matter of a few months?
I
won't
don't
they?
know how they do it now, but I think it's a developmental contract. I don't know. But so my first contract, which started as a developmental contract, was 3 years. And then I got re-signed. And so I left. So I was in my first year and I had my first year of my second contract. So it was my fourth year. And I had won the title and kind of had like an okay title run, but then had a really amazing storyline with AJ. Had an incredible pay-per-view and I lost the title to her. It was like the women's match of the year. It was so sick. And because we had built ourselves up we told this amazing story for months on Raw, SmackDown, pay-per-views. And so when it came time for our title match, like so many people were like so invested in it, and it fucked. Like it was so amazing, and we were really close too. And we had both been through a lot together, and it was just like very meaningful. And that was the first time that she was going to hold the title, and that was like all she ever wanted her whole life. So it was just really cool. And then after that, there was just a lot of things changing in the company, and Total Divas had started. And so Total Divas was like an E-network partnership show, and I wasn't on that, and AJ wasn't on that. And we were told that it would not affect the storylines, but it did.
It definitely
major. Yeah. And so I kind of just got lost, and I was just going through a lot. It was a crazy life. Like I was usually only home if I was like booked and busy, like 1.5 days a week. And so I was on like, constantly flying. And the way that it works with WWE is like they book your flights, and then like you fly in from wherever you live to the first town, then you rent a car. And you either travel by yourself or whoever you want to travel with who's on the same show. And then you book your own hotels. And it's just like a life on the road. And it was very difficult and I was so young. Like I didn't know how to make healthier choices. Like I never was like someone who drank a lot on the road. Like I just would go to my room and try to sleep, but usually just had a lot of anxiety. And I just didn't have tools to cope. Like I didn't have, and it was just like this surge of crazy energy every fucking week, and it was harder backstage, I felt like, than it was in the ring.
That's the break.
Yeah, because like you always had to be like dressed and like on, because Vince was always walking around backstage and like important people.
I think it's wild how much like actual control that dude had.
He controlled everything.
Like it's incredible how much, like obviously he's the chairman of the company or whatever, but the amount of like input he had in everything,
Literally everything. Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. So it was like
Psycho brain, bro.
Like I don't know how.
Psycho brains.
I don't even know. It's not even that I don't know how. I don't know why someone would want that much control over everything. Like
he just had this
seems,
like relentless vision of what he wanted to happen. I think
it just seems like a crazy amount of like control freak stuff.
It was just like so much all the time, and there was no. I just and also like I again was really young, but I didn't resonate a lot with like the culture too, like the women, some of the women in the locker room. The way like you had to be to try to get whatever you wanted, like I just didn't vibe with it, and it kind of like isolated me a little bit. And there was like a couple times where like
Same problem, bro. That's why I hide out here.
So I mean,
Same problem.
It's like it's hard because well for me then I didn't know how to like be a leader. Like there was shit happening that like I was like, this isn't how shit should be, especially because like during that time women did not get a lot of time on TV. One match, a 3-hour show, women get 3 minutes, and so all the women were always fucking fighting for spots. And so,
And there was like a lot of really, for one match a night, there was a lot of women on the roster.
Yeah. And so it created this like really cutthroat fear, like concept, like mentality. And so if anybody was like getting ahead or whatever, like, yes, there would be people that were happy for them, but like also it would be like you would get shit for it. You would get shit in the locker room. Like I got bullied a lot for just being new and getting an opportunity, you know, to like do something cool and then winning that show. And I just like didn't now, you know, looking back, and I think everybody says this about certain things, like when you have that experience, when you get older of like, oh, if I just knew this, like I could have done that, you know,
There's
there.
no way to though.
But
You
I
gotta
just, so I just like ate my feelings a lot and like just couldn't establish a routine, and I was so lonely and I didn't know how to talk to anybody about what I was going through. And so I ended up when I lost the title and it was just like not really on TV and it was that Total Divas era, I was just struggling so fucking bad, and just like I was gaining weight, and like mentally I was just in such a bad place. And so I debuted in Baltimore for NXT. So it was like a Baltimore arena, and there was like a moment where I had a really shitty travel day getting to TV, and I knew I wasn't going to be on the show, and I was just like, why the fuck am I going through all this? And it was like during the winter. It was in January, and I got to the show, and I was delayed, stuck in the snow, like all this shit. And then I got to the arena, and I of course wasn't booked, and I was just like, ugh. And I looked around and I realized like, oh my God, this is the arena that I debuted in. And I just had this moment where I was like, I'm just gonna leave. I'm done. I was just struggling, and I had a couple of close friends that were, you know, that were wrestlers, and I didn't even tell them. I just went into talent relations, and I was just like, I think I want to ask for my release, and they told me to sleep on it, and then I didn't want anybody to know, and I just wanted to dip out because I was just like, that's how bad it was for me.
You don't even look Irish.
My Irish exit, yeah, I'm the queen. And then eventually, people kind of found out, and they gave me like one last match, which was on like one of those small shows. I think it was like Main Event or whatever, and I wrestled AJ, and that was it. And I left, and then I did like they had to do a release statement, that I had left the company, and then I did like I shot a video kind of addressing it, but I didn't, even then, like I wasn't like, hey guys, I'm like fucked up, like I just can't do it anymore. I was just like, oh, I want to focus on other things, and you know.
Yeah.
Did you notice that Jesus?
No,
Hey,
but it's pretty cool.
Before we get into sad girl time, we should do break time. Hit Patreon on it.
Hey.
Right? What time are we at?